Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Vantage, the State's flagship podcast, where we bring you conversations with leading voices from the world of finance and business. Joining us today is Anshita Mehrotra, founder of Fix My Curls and a Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia honoree. At 19, while studying journalism at the Penn State World Campus, she spotted a gap in India's beauty market for high quality products tailored to naturally textured hair. Using her storytelling and digital marketing skills, she built Fix My Curls into a community driven brand. Since 2019, the company has delivered over 500,000 orders in 10 countries and generates an estimated $2.6 million in annual revenue, growing from a niche solution into a globally expanding beauty brand. So, Anshita, we are so excited to have you here and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the introduction. I'm very excited to hopefully answer some questions and help whoever is watching out.
Right. So, to start at the very foundation, every strong brand begins with a sharp insight. So, textured hair products is something that most hair care companies would treat as one of their many products. So, how did you identify that the textured hair niche in India was large enough to sustain a standalone brand and not just one of the many possible product lines?
I grew up with a textured hair type. I have very curly hair naturally. So I think it was something that was very unavoidable for me. Personally, I knew that no matter where I went, whether it was a salon for a blow dry when I was younger, or if I had to, go to a friend's house and potentially sleep over there, wake up the next morning, and I knew that, I'm just gonna have to use whatever they have, whether it's for my hair or not. I think wherever I went in every corner of life, I understood that my hair was not necessarily accepted. And I also knew that people would prefer if I just straightened them because it was easier for them. Rather than coming up with solutions, it was a lot easier for people to just say, what's available is what you should use. Why are you asking for more? Because textured hair types, whether it's curly or wavy, are a little bit difficult to understand. And especially if you don't have that hair type, it is very hard to help them. And I think that's how it was always something that I was thinking about, something that no matter I went, I knew was missing. It was a big gap in my personal life. And then I would meet people who had hair like mine and they felt the same gap. But I think obviously when you're younger, you don't think that you can change the world. You don't think that you can do anything at that point in time. But like you rightly said, I was studying journalism and I came back, and the stark difference that I saw from where I was studying to the, I mean, like how people saw curly hair in India, I think that difference really shocked me. And I understood that, okay, maybe there is something here that I can talk about.
And just following up on that, so once you actually felt that there was a need for such products, how did you validate that as a business opportunity or thought about converting that into a business? So was it through social media or online communities? And then further on, how did you go about scaling this brand?
So at the time, I was just like any other consumer of a product, and I was looking for curly hair products. And I actually found a Facebook group called Indian Curl Pride. I think it's still there, it should still be there. And this Facebook group at that time had 40,000 members, and this is 2019 January. So, I had just turned 19 a few months back, and I was thinking to myself, 40,000 people. I thought that maybe there will be a handful of people in this country who feel the same way as I do. But 40,000, I think, was a very large number for me. And it really pushed me to at least create a page. So the thought process was just, let me start a small Instagram community and let me talk to people about my hair journey. So basically, I was recovering from bleach. I was recovering from permanent straightening. And it's funny, but I thought permanent straightening when I was 15 meant ki bas ho gaya, right? I don't need to ever worry again. But of course, my hair grew back curly. And I think the concept didn't hit me until my hair was curly, half straight. And I realized, oh my God, I need to do something about this. And like every other person, I Googled it and I found so many Reddit threads, BuzzFeed videos at the time. BuzzFeed was really big, and people were talking about, oh, transforming my hair, going back to my natural hair. And I was just thinking, okay, natural hair, that's also a thing. Maybe that's a concept. Maybe I can do that. So when I found that Facebook group, I think I felt very brave. And I felt like, okay, I have 40,000 people to back me. 40,000 other people feel the way I feel, and that's enough. So I think I just needed to feel a little bit brave. I didn't necessarily sit and think ki, how many lakhs of people in India will be able to purchase a product that is worth 500 rupees. Trust me, that was not my thinking at all. And I come from a privileged place where I came from a manufacturing family. I understood manufacturing for a very long time. My parents also run a skincare brand. So up until that point, of course, hair care was never the thought. I thought that if anything, I'll help them with skincare. But the one thing I knew was that hair care was possible. So I think when I felt brave enough, that bravery led to me asking, ki, is it possible for us to make shampoo and conditioner and leave-in creams and gels? And of course, it's possible. But the problem was nobody knew anything about curly hair, and curly hair pre-made solutions. Like today, if you want to buy a face cream and sell it under your brand, face cream, there will be 1,000 face creams available, right? Curly hair products, there was nothing. So for my parents, they said, look, we want to help you, but you'll have to start at zero. We don't understand what you want to make, and we don't think anybody in India is making this at the moment. And it was the truth. Unfortunately, there was nobody who was making something like this, and we'd either have to import it or start at zero. So point being, I think I was brave enough because I saw that there were 40,000 other people who were championing their curls. And I think that bravery led me to start this. But it definitely wasn't a very heavy data driven decision. I'll be honest. It was a very personal decision.
So hi, ma'am. So to really understand the scale of what you built, I want to take everyone back to the very beginning. At the age of 19, most students are stressed about midterms. You were managing a launch in August 2019. What did your daily schedule look like when you had to balance university assignments with coordinating your first time manufacturing batches?
So here's where there's a little bit of a story gap. I took like a semester off. Basically, I was thinking of a gap semester, not a gap year necessarily, but wo hota gaya. And I came back from college. So I was actually in Vancouver first. I came back 2019. uh, then I started creating these products. It started as a project, moreover, and I thought, okay, let me see how this goes. I don't know if this is going to turn into a full-fledged business. And in August, when I launched the products, I thought, okay, ab launch ho gaya, I'm going to go to college. Funnily enough, I was going to go to UK for journalism. I had to last minute drop out of that program and transfer all of my credits to Penn State, which is what you guys must have found on my LinkedIn. So transferred to Penn State then, but I continued to study. I continued to give exams and build a company. But I'll be honest, us time pe I was literally building. Mostly the building time came during 2020, which was COVID. Prior to that, when I launched on Amazon. Now, Amazon Seller Central is very easy. Basically, anybody, as long as you have a GST certificate, you have a company, you can actually sell product there, and people are selling all sorts of stuff. You don't need to have a reputed brand. It is very literally self-service. So that's what I did. It was the easiest way to go about. I remember photoshopping all of my product images and just taking the very basic route. And then I would send people the link of the Amazon products on Instagram DMs. And I started my business and the whole funnel through Instagram. So if someone would find pictures of us on Instagram, or they would find pictures of me, I would tell them, yeah, I use Fix My Curls. Then I would DM them. I would say, can you send me a picture of your hair? I'll tell you what I recommend. Then that's sort of how the consultation process started. And then that's the funnel that I led people through. So it was a very easy funnel, point being. So I think at that time, luckily enough, I wasn't managing anything. I had taken the decision to take some time off. But the real managing things came afterwards when I started studying again. And I studied through 2020 into 2021, and 2020 to 21 is when we hit 1.2 crores in revenue. So I think after that revenue milestone, I realized I'm not going to be able to study anymore. So I dropped out. So I don't have a degree. I'm a dropout. And I mean, I tell everyone this, that I had, I think, 4 months of studying left, but it was final exams and it was a thesis. So unfortunately, it would have taken so much bandwidth, that the better decision was to focus on my business that was very literally generating crores than to finish the degree that I was going to have to pay money for. So I think it didn't make any sense. And all the people around me were also like, why are you studying journalism? You're finishing it also. And I was like, I know it has nothing to do with what I'm doing on a daily basis. My life is very different right now. So I think, um, yeah, one year and 4 months approx, I managed. I would wake up, I would be studying by 8 a.m. Then 8 to 12, I would study. After lunch, I would do customer care. I would talk to Fix My Calls people. I would shoot content. Then I would start studying again after 4. Um, yeah, I would study until I guess 7, 8 p.m. But remember that it was mostly COVID, right? So we couldn't even go outside. So I think I had no life outside of doing this. But it was great because I gave so much time to the Instagram page that during COVID, we hit, I think 12,000 followers. And that was also the year we saw the boom in revenue. And the year after that, when I finally gave up my degree, by the way, we went from 1 crore to 7 crores. So you can imagine what focus can do when you decide that this is something you want to do. So I'm glad I didn't finish that degree. But yeah, that's sort of how I managed. I guess you just do it when you love it.
So, ma'am, in the early days, did you find that being a student made you more fearless because you had nothing to lose, or did it make it harder to be taken seriously in the boardrooms because you were most likely to be the youngest person there?
Mm, so, okay, in the beginning, it made me super fearless because I was like, okay, I'll just go back and study. I have another option. I can do this also. But yes, as you can imagine, I was 21 when I dropped out, and everyone at 21 is either partying or going on some gap semester abroad or doing something very exciting with people their age. I was hiring people at 21. I was hiring 40-year-olds, 35-year-olds. I was really struggling, to be honest with you, because I did not understand what 7 crores even meant. All I knew was I need to control this somehow. And from 7, we only went to 9 the next year. And the reason is because when you go from 1 to 7, managing what 7 means, I think that is something I really learned that year. So I was honestly not in boardrooms, and I was not speaking to a lot of people that year. I was just trying to figure out, am I a founder? Do I run a company, or am I just an Instagram page? Um, and I think this is something that I don't see a lot of people talking about, but imposter syndrome is very real, right? Being 21, you're doing this much revenue, you tell people and they don't believe you. They're like, sorry, did you say 7 crores? Do you mean 7 lakhs? And I'm being, no, crores. And they didn't understand the concept of curly hair. They thought Fix My Curls means I'm selling straightening solutions, because to keep curly hair curly was just not an option at that time. So I think I started getting into boardrooms around 2022, and I was 22 then. I was turning 23. That was the most jarring year for me. Of course, people try to take you seriously, but it's hard, right? I'm a woman. I'm a solo female founder. I don't have an undergrad degree. I didn't go to an IIT. I've definitely not studied a heavy finance degree either. I was a business minded person, but I had only studied journalism. So to be very honest, everything was kind of against me. I think the only thing that was shocking to people was that the revenue was there. So I wasn't making up a story. And I think the first few pitches I did, by the way, I didn't even have a pitch deck. So I made a pitch deck later. Like after 10 rejections, I was like, okay, maybe something is missing. I think I need to present better. And that's when I started sort of presenting properly. But I don't know, my journey has been very funny in that way. So I have to say that, yeah, I think I was always very people were very confused. Like, what exactly does she do? And how is she in this room? And how is she this young? And then when I would tell them I started at 19, I mean, a lot of people just simply did not understand that. I think they didn't believe it. So I don't know. Yeah, it is definitely a little bit scary. And I would honestly feel like I'm having a panic attack before every pitch. I would have to talk to some very serious people. And I think the part that was difficult was most of the people on these calls were men over the age of 40, and they did not understand the concept of curly hair. A lot of them barely had any hair on their head, and I tell a lot of people this, that imagine having to explain somebody who doesn't have a lot of hair that curly hair solutions are very important. Obviously it's not, they're not understanding, and there was a lack of data in the country as well around curls. So lack of data, lack of understanding, of course, means lots of rejection in the beginning. So I think, but that it makes you stronger. So I don't know, I think it was okay, but yeah, it was very jarring in the beginning for other people. Ki, how did she manage to do this when we think that there isn't even a market here?
So, ma'am, as you mentioned, there were a lot of difficulties after the launching phase. So, what was your personal low point after the launch phase? And what was the turning point that kept you in the game?
I think personal low points are when you're not able to hire. And I think the hardest thing in the beginning is understanding how to separate yourself from your team. How do you hire people that are 10 years older than you, 15 years older than you? They have children. I am a child. So I think that sort of gap did not make sense to anyone, right? I'm 21, I'm hiring a 40-year-old accountant. It was something that I had to learn to be very confident about. And I think I had to learn to also have boundaries with my team. And when you're 21, honestly, and you're running a business, not only are you partying very little or meeting your friends very less, you also want to feel like you're a part of something. But when you are the founder or say the boss, you can't just sit and laugh with them, right? Like you can't sit and make jokes. Like you need to have boundaries. So I think that was my low point, was realizing when I was 21, 22, that okay, I will always need to have a firm boundary between my team and I. And maybe for some time it's just going to be like this. So I think that was difficult to digest because I thought that we can all be friends. But of course, I learned very quickly that's not how it works. So I think that was probably the low point. And then the second low point would be doing almost 40 pitches in 12 months and getting rejected by every single person. I think that was really tough. And at that time, you think, this means my business is just, it's bad. I have a bad business model. But it's not the truth. Businesses that get funded are different types of businesses, and businesses that don't raise funding still run and become very successful businesses. They just take a longer time. So it doesn't say anything about your business, I think, us time pe, but I think Shark Tank had also just started. So it was a very big deal to get funding. And I thought कि मुझे भी funding चाहिए. But क्यों चाहिए वो समझ में नहीं आया था मुझे उस time पे. I think that should have been more important. So I think the advice I would have given myself for that low point would just be that first understand why you want this, not because everybody else has it. Yeah.
So, ma'am, you mentioned that you gave 40 pitches and got rejected. And then in 2024, you also secured a grant from Peak XV and you got a $910,000 seed round. So, can you tell us more about that? Maybe the grant from Peak, or how you actually went about getting those funds?
Yeah. So one of the sort of three investors that we ended up raising money with, and just to give you an insight, the grant that we got within like 2 months, right? And that was a completely equity free grant. It's something they do every single year. They give 12 women founding led companies a $100,000 grant. And yeah, you just sort of take it in as credit into your company, and it's given to support your business if they see potential in your business. That doesn't mean that they invest, of course. So this is not an investment, it is just very literally a grant. Before this grant, almost 8 months to 1 year prior to that, in 2023, was when all of these investment conversations started. And I met my current wonderful investors, which is Amazon. Amazon were the first ones to sort of come on board. And if you remember, I mentioned that we started on Amazon, right, in 2019. So you can imagine कि वहाँ पे बहुत history है product की. We have thousands of reviews. I think our bestsellers are 5,000 reviews each. So that was where the brand's credibility had been built. And so, of course, Amazon as a marketplace reached out to us as a company, and they also invest in companies. And that was when, they said, we're interested. We've seen your growth on Amazon. It's been amazing. We think that overall, this is a great category to invest in. Then after that, it was the challenge of, Amazon was giving us a certain amount. And it was like, you need to find other people as well to invest in this round, because a seed round, it needs to be approx 1 million. I think too little money at that time, because I was already doing 9 crores. 2-3 crores se kuch bhi nahi hone wala tha. Like, it was just, it's better to not take it then, right? So we needed around between 7 and 8 crores at the time, which was about $1 million. So we managed to raise 910K with the help of also DSG Consumer Partners, who also put in a scout check, which is their initial starting check of money. And then India Quotient also came in and they also put it in. But I'll tell you, like, it was a 1 year process. From start to finish to money in the bank account was a 1 year process. And somehow, we raised 910K. And in my head, I kept thinking 1 million ke hum itne paas the. And then Peak XV gave us the grant, or wo 1 million ho gaya. So in the end, we did get 1 million. And that was the magic number for me. Like, I really wanted to raise $1 million. And it didn't happen how I thought it would happen. It happened very differently. But I'll tell you this much, after pitching to 40 people, the people who actually ended up investing, they came to us. I didn't desperately go to them, right? They came to us and said, we've seen your growth. This is really impressive. Let's talk about it, right? And of course, with DSG, I've told this story, I think, on my Instagram as well. But I happened to be at a founder event where there were some investors also. And basically, this was one investor that I'd heard a lot of, people that you like look up to. You see them on LinkedIn. You're like, someday I'll talk to this person, right? I saw him and I was just like, oh my God, this is my moment. I'm going to pitch. I need to pitch right now. And this is, it's cocktail networking. So people are like trying to enjoy themselves. And yahan pe I'm thinking, I need to pitch kyunki mujhe apna round close karna hai. But he was kind enough that I said, listen, can I have 2 minutes of your time? And yeah, I mean, he gave me 2 minutes of his time. I got his email ID and I was like, I'll send you my pitch deck. Please just, do a meeting with me. And I think I was very straightforward. I wasn't trying to play it cool. I was literally to the point. I was like, I think you should put money in us. I have a round. I want you to finish it. And, I just give me 30 minutes of your time on a meeting. And I promise, like, it won't be wasted. So that's what he did. And that's how we got that amount of money. So yeah, I think I got a lot more confident by then too. So this is 2022 November. Then Pura 2023 was a difficult time. We got funding, but we were in losses. Then our investors walked away for a little bit and they said, first become profitable, we'll come back. Then I had the challenge of, oh my God, I need to now look at profits, because I think once we got to 7 crores, we were profitable. When we got to 9, I did not understand what happened to our unit economics. Everything sort of fell flat and I needed to restart. Then, yeah, around that time, all of this was happening at the same time as us getting funding. So it was not good. Once we became profitable again, though, our investors came back. We met our third set of investors and everything worked out. But I think you just need one yes. And I think for us, that one yes was Amazon. And after that, everything fell into place. Of course, it is a very, very credible yes. Getting Amazon to say yes is huge. But I'll tell you, that's not something we were aiming for. Mere to sapno mein Amazon was going to say yes. Like, it was not like, ye to hona hi hai. I think after 40 pitches, you get very tired because everybody is rejecting you left, right, and center. And these 40 pitches were not with just regular venture capitalists. They were with some of the largest multinational businesses in India, that are churning billions. Like, I thought ki okay, if they're saying no, matlab no, nahi hone wala fir. So I think when it all happened because I was a little bit detached and I was like, okay, you know what, agar nahi hone wala hai, koi baat nahi. We are a profitable business, we'll figure it out. And funnily enough, once, we really started putting in the effort, profits dissipated, investors came in. I think you learn a lot of lessons basically just to keep focus at your business no matter what. And I think my focus had shifted to raising money. And once I brought my focus back, things were okay. But yeah, then we ended up raising money in 2024. It was a very long process as well because it was my first ever due diligence. And it was not easy. So yeah, I think finally we raised money 2024 May, which is almost 2 years ago now.
So in your particular case, it was Amazon that reached out to you, but for most founders, it's the other way around. So for any other founder who is currently pitching, do you think that there are certain aspects that they should keep in mind, something that you learned through your journey, or any advice that you would like to give to them?
I think, be very sure. Sometimes when you are pitching and, they'll ask you many follow-up questions after your pitch. They are just testing to see ki if they say something that sways you the other way, will you change your mind? So, for example, you tell me right now, I really, really love ice cream. And I convince you don't like ice cream and you change your mind. So in this 20-30 minute call, you have changed your mind. That is what they try also, right? They want to see how much do you love your business? Do you really believe this idea is going to make money? It's going to be big. And they're really going to try to convince you that it's not that big. And this is reverse psychology, right? They want to see how headstrong you are, how stubborn you are. Stubborn founders, at least when it comes to vision and mission, are very important. I have been stubborn since day one, right? For me, it was like, no, I'm going to do this only. And even if you don't want me to, I'm going to do this. So whether you like it or not, I think you need to just trust me. You need to trust that I know what I'm doing. And at the end of the day, when you raise seed money, it is a founder bet from the investor side. They are betting on you as a human being, as a person. So the number one thing they will try to do is change your mind. And see, does this person, change their mind? I'm sure you've seen Shark Tank pitches as well, right? They will literally sit there and trash talk your business and say, ye kya kar rahe ho? Go back and do your job. You shouldn't be running a business. All of this happens. Like in 2020, during COVID, when I had hit like that 1 crore number, I did my first ever pitch. And this lady, she told me, ye business band kar do. You should go back and finish your degree. This is useless. It's a waste of your time. Imagine if I had listened to her, and it was a very, I think it's a painful call to have, but these calls happen. And this happens to everyone. Trust me, you'll see Instagram virality. You'll see that they're doing really, really well. But at the end of the day, investors look at a very large picture. They are looking at 1,000 crores. If you're doing one, it's too little. There are too many businesses doing 1 crore today, right? So you, I think at the end of the day, really need to have a lot of belief in yourself. And that is all I'll say. The rest is very dependent business to business. How you pitch, what you say, what numbers you should present, and what, maybe you can let it be. But the one thing is stick to your guns. If you're going on a call, don't be rude, of course, be very nice. If they are giving you advice, say, I will think about it and I'll see if it fits. I will definitely inculcate it in my business, but this is what I believe for now, and this is where I'm at. So if you would like to meet me where I am, then great. So I think at the end of the day, a lot of investors also love this, that you are so 100% sure about what you're doing, because again, you are taking their money. It's not a joke. You are taking a very big responsibility. And I think what a lot of startup founders don't realize is there is a time where they want that return. And it's sometimes a very literal return. So, it's not ki paise aapne le liye, khatam. No, each fund cycle has a 7-year lifespan. So 7 years later, you best believe you are expected to give some type of sizable return to this person. So you are taking on a very big responsibility. And imagine you wake up tomorrow and you're like, मेरा मन नहीं कर रहा है आज, मुझे ये business नहीं चलाना है, और आपने किसी के पैसे ले लिए हैं. That is what they don't want. So I think this is also why a lot of people get rejected, is because they are only unsure about what they're doing. And they want the investor to tell them, I'll do whatever you want me to do, बस आप पैसे दे दो, मैं कर दूंगा. That's not how it works, right? I think you need to be very, very sure about what you're doing. So I think that's the only advice I would really give, is don't change your mind on that call just because somebody very impressive is sitting in front of you. ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग आएंगे. It's not gonna matter.
Got it. So again, so you are on the Forbes 30 under 30 Asia list, and that is a massive achievement. So did that actually impact your journey? Does it maybe in a positive way or a negative way? Because such recognition can also create some invisible pressure on you to keep growing at maybe at an unsustainable rate as well.
Definitely, there's always unsustainable pressure to grow. But no, I'm going to say that I think one of the biggest blessings I got from 30 under 30, was that I didn't even expect to be on the Asia list. I thought I got the India list, by the way, and I knew about it for about 2 months before the world knew. And I thought, bas ho gaya, India list mil gayi. I'm so happy. Like, isse zyada kya ho sakta hai? And then I saw that the Asia list applications were open. And I was like, it's not like they'll give me 2 lists in the same 3 months, right? Aisa nahi hota hai. But aisa hi hua, and it was a little bit, I think, it was very validating. So, I felt like, okay, this is a list, and trust me, guys, I applied 5 times before that. I have been applying since I was 19, because I thought I should be on 30 under 30 since I was 19. I was like, I'm going to be on this list someday. Might as well start applying now. So I never stopped applying. And funnily enough, I got both lists in the same 3 months. It all happened very quickly. And I think by the time I digested it, the biggest blessing from the list was the people that I got to meet that were also on the lists. I had never, I think, met people at a very similar level to me. It is hard to make friends as a founder, because आधे लोग या तो आपका competition है, या तो, you are just so busy that you both don't have time on your calendar to meet. So I think for the first time through that list, I met so many people who are very like-minded and very driven, very ambitious people. And of course, to be on that list, you have to be doing something. And they were all my age. So I think the biggest blessing is finding a group of people that, you can go to and be like, hey, I need your help. And now I'm on groups with some crazy founders. I think that is the biggest blessing of being on the list. Outside of that, yes, people have very high expectations from you. But if there's one thing I've learned is the second that you stop enjoying what you're doing and it starts feeling like you wake up and you're like, I hate this, is when you should really reconsider whether that pressure is worth it or not. Because, if you look at the statistics of how many companies last longer than 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years, it will shock you. Very few, by the way. Every company cease to exist at some point. So अगर यही होना है सबके साथ, then why not enjoy it while it's happening? So I think that pressure is going to be there, and the more milestones you hit, the bigger the pressure, right? um like today I want to be 100 crore company, but we're a 30 crore company. So for me 30 feels very small now. I'm not proud of that number, but it's sad because many other people are very happy for me. But for me 100 crores is the only number that I can be proud of. But जब हम 100 पहुंच जाएंगे तब 1000 हो जाएगा. ऐसे ही होता है. I think so. At some point you have to sit and understand that these lists are amazing achievements, but you can't let the outside noise drive what you want to do. Nahi to it's a never ending thing, right?
Mom, from building credibility at 19 to building a brand that now ships globally, that's a massive leap. So let's just talk about growth and scale. You now ship to more than 10 countries. What is the most surprising legal or regulatory hurdle you encountered when taking an Indian beauty brand global?
You know, right now, not much, but definitely trademarks, not easy. And they get a lot harder when you're outside India. Um, Especially for a brand name like Fix My Curls. Fix is an adjective. So as long as you have a descriptive word in your name, getting it trademarked is very tough. So there are ways around it, and this is why lawyers are the people you should trust with this. But I would say legally, abhi tak to we haven't encountered too much of a difference. But one interesting thing I'll tell you. For example, in the UK, most products, if you go into a Boots or you go into any in-person retail store, वहां पे सारे products खुले हुए हैं. There are no mono cartons. Majority of the products you can open and you can smell it, you can squeeze it, and then you can buy it also. I think that was a bit shocking to me because यहाँ पे India में we literally have to monocartonize, seal, and then ship it with two more boxes on top because यहाँ पे तो कोई खोल के चोरी ही कर लेगा product. But I think the level of trust there कि सब कुछ खुला हुआ है is a bit shocking to me, and I this year we've been having conversations. I mean, the year has just started, but we've been having conversations ki, we want to sell our products offline, and I came to learn that aap seal nahi kar sakte, aap box nahi dal sakte. And I was a bit shocked. I was like, nahi, to fir to koi le jayega product. How can we do that? How will you know it's a real new product if it's not sealed? And they were just like, no, it's not sealed. You can open anything. Like all of them are openable. And I think this was a bit shocking to me. And this isn't online, this is more for offline. But I think India mein aisa nahi ho sakta. If you see India mein, we have one sample tube and uske piche sare sealed honge. And you buy the sealed ones. So I don't know, I think this about global has surprised me a little. But again, it ranges and it changes so much. Another thing is buying capacity. The product that we sell here for 500 rupees, that people still tell me is very expensive. कि आपके products बहुत महंगे हैं. And our best seller is for 500 rupees. यही best seller, when we talk to other distributors, they are like, हाँ, हम लोग तो 2000 rupees का बेच रहे हैं. कितना सस्ता है. And I'm like, wow, I think, the way people see beauty outside versus in India is a very price sensitive market. And I think other markets are evolved in terms of at least buying beauty for a larger price point. They're definitely a bit more evolved than us. But it's crazy to me what people feel the worth of our product is in India versus outside India. It's almost 4x. So I think that has been quite surprising. But at the end of the day, it's good for us. It means we can get a better margin if we, get the opportunity to start selling globally. But I think that's one thing that was a bit surprising to me, is that, people really appreciate also how our products look outside India. But in India, I think it will take some time for us to reach that point where we also appreciate simply how a product looks or the effort that's gone in there, and that we pay money for that.
Right. So, in this past 6 or 7 years, you have actually built a very huge FMCG brand. So, for someone who is actually starting out today, making something in the FMCG space, what do you think is, let's say, the three major pieces of advice that you would like to give to them?
Okay. I would say number one, be very clear what your hero product is. Don't try to sell 10 different products and try to split your focus between 10. Understand what is your hero category and what is your hero product. Stick to that and spend at least 1 to 2 years with high focus on your hero product. Today, if you want to break through the noise, because there are thousands of brands in beauty and personal care, the only way to break a little bit of that clutter is to have such crazy focus that if you're selling just one body lotion for 2 years and all you talk about is body lotion, everybody will be like, okay, there's something about this body lotion, I have to use this body lotion. Do you understand? But if I sell you body lotion, face cream, sunscreen, makeup, everything I'm selling you, you're gonna ask me the question of like, but what's good, what should I buy from you? And if a customer is already having to ask you that, that means the funnel has gotten much longer and that they will most likely drop off and forget about you. So I would say number one, have high focus, understand what your hero product is and focus on that for at least 2 years. Number two, I would say definitely create founder led content. It's unavoidable today. Everybody wants to know who the founder is. They trust you more if they know who the founder is, and they want to understand why you're building what you're building, right? Um, so I would say number two, founder led content. Please make it. It's not a waste of time or बहुत easily बन भी जाता है. Just stop overthinking so much about being on camera. You do it 5 times, you'll get embarrassed. Eventually, you'll forget all about the embarrassment and you'll realize that when one reel hits 100K views and suddenly your orders have increased, you will forget about being embarrassed. You'll understand how powerful the internet is. Number three, I think I would say networking. Um, be very, very good at networking and try to focus on that as a skill. So if today I talk to both of you and I tell you, both of you, I tell you, can you introduce me to one other person? And then you introduce me to one other person. I tell them, introduce me to one other person. If I do that every week also for the rest of this year, I'll probably meet at least 300 to 400 new people. And if at the end of the day I want to gather data from them, I'll gather data from them. And I say this for someone that's starting at zero, not for someone who has money. I mean, this would not be the way I would collect data, right? But I'm saying if you're starting at zero and you're like, मैं किससे बात करूं? I don't know that many people. I don't have that many friends. You don't have to. You need to be brave enough to ask one friend to introduce you to another stranger, them to introduce you to one more stranger, and eventually you'll know 400, 500 more new people. And that is literally how you grow your network. And your network generally is your net worth. And you'll realize that when you are in trouble and you need something, it will be one of those people that will know somebody else who will help you. So I would say network a lot. Networking, I can't tell you the kinds of people I have seen rise up just because they are so good at networking. And I used to look at those people and be like, how are they wasting their time networking? And I trust me, I was one of those people. I used to think, going to networking events and all of this, it's just fluff. It's really not. It really works. And after a point, you understand the power of knowing that many people and having them in, one phone call away. It helps your business, and you never know when you'll need their help. So, and in the same way, you have to help them also. So, I would say these three things to survive um, today, because today there is no barrier to entry. You both could start a business tomorrow and nobody can stop you, right? You don't need to know somebody or be a part of some family to be able to start a business. Today, honestly, every manufacturer is also bringing their minimum order quantity so low that आप 500 units भी खरीद सकते हो. When I started, I think 2,000, 3,000 units से कम तो was like, what are you saying? It's just not possible. We would order 10,000 tubes. मुझे तो पता भी नहीं था कि हम 10,000 बेचेंगे, कब बेचेंगे. but you had to order it. There was no option. So I think today it's so much easier, but it's so much harder to stand out. So the two ways to stand out is focus on your hero product, create founder content, and network like crazy.
You started as a student with an idea, and now you're someone many students look up to. So, I want to close this with a perspective that will really resonate with our audience. To the teenagers listening who have a crazy idea in their notebook right now, so what is your parting message to help them take their first step today?
See, anyone that I have met that is impressive at a young age is just doing the thing. There are many people, and I'm sure you guys know these people. They are very good at studies. They know how to talk a lot. They know how to present a lot, but they're not doing anything. So, talking about your idea, telling people about your idea is very different than actually doing something about it. And you'll see that the difference between two people will literally just be that I started. I had no real reason to start, right? I had many friends who had business degrees, and 6 years later किसी ने भी business नहीं शुरू किया है, क्योंकि बस excuse after excuse. And at the end of the day, this may sound harsh, but it's all excuses only. If you want to start a business, you can go to Sadar Bazaar. You can literally buy some product. You can buy, like, I don't know, as simple as hair clips. You can click some really nice pictures of those hair clips and ask AI to create great graphics for you. Start running meta ads for 500 rupees a week. You're selling product and you have now started a brand. That's very literally all it takes, right? And I've given you the most easy example. So I'm going to say that, if you're 19 or 18, you've just started college, you have a crazy idea, and the only thing that's stopping you is you feel like, but who's going to buy it from me? Then that's not good enough. That's not a good enough reason. Money, I would say, is definitely a good reason. But even that, I know so many people who have started with very little money and made very, very large businesses today. There are so many examples of that today, right? So, plus you can start very small. Nobody's asking you to take your entire savings and dump it into a business. You can start with 10,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees, and see how it goes. You can take baby steps also, right? But don't stop. And I would say just start. And that would be my end message for everybody is, if you have something in your mind, just start. And don't be the person that gives up after 1 month. It takes years. In fact, I mean, if I've been doing this for 6 years, I'm going into my 7th year in August. I've given it most of my 20s, right? And I would like to give it far into my 30s as well. Then I will sit and be like, okay, I think I can take a step back now. But I read somewhere that, you need to give anything 1,000 days. And if you give it anything less than 1,000 days, then you haven't given it enough time. So I would say, just start. Please don't be in such a hurry कि जल्दी जल्दी सक्सेस मिलना चाहिए. किसी को भी जल्दी जल्दी सक्सेस, like जिसको मिल रहा है, they also have a crazy fast downfall. So look for sustainable success that is long term. Enjoy the journey and just start. That's what I'd say.
Anshita ma'am, thank you so much for being here and for sharing your journey with us so honestly. From starting at 19 to building a global brand, it's been truly inspiring to hear the real story behind it.
Thank you so much, guys, for giving me your time also on a Sunday. No, but I really enjoyed chatting with the two of you, and I hope that this was helpful for someone.
And to everyone listening out there, if you have an idea, don't overthink it, just start somewhere.
Yeah, that is the end advice is that.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, guys.